We are headed to the weekend, but not before we check out those top stories making headlines right here in Israel with me, Rolene Marks, on the Israel Brief. And you guys get your Israel Brief with me every Monday to Thursday, where we take a look at those top stories making headlines in Israel. We even do it with a cup of tea. Or hey, with a G and T these days, I pass no judgments. In fact, I might even join you. The Israel Brief, as always, is brought to you in partnership with these guys, Lay of the Land, and a little bit more about where you can find Lay of the Land coming up in the show. Also, a reminder that Lay of the Land publishes a weekly newsletter, and if you would like to receive this newsletter, please be in touch with us via our website. But let's get straight to it. It is day 552. I'm really hoping we are not going to reach that ominous 600-day mark. In fact, I'd be very happy if we didn't reach the 560-day mark, because that would mean all of our 59 hostages have been returned to us. As you know, they were taken captive on the 7th of October. 250 plus people were taken captive. We still have 59 remaining in the hell and in the dungeons of Gaza. 24 are believed to still be alive. Every second counts. So let's take a look at those top stories. And this first headline, I really had to check to make sure it wasn't April the 1st. And I know it's not April the 1st because that's my birthday, as you guys know. But are you bracing yourselves for this? Hamas has filed a legal application in the United Kingdom to formally be removed from the list of proscribed terror organizations. Now, many countries around the world, including the United Kingdom and including many Arab countries, have Hamas proscribed as a terror organization. They have retained legal counsel, the firm of Riverways Law, which is just absolutely extraordinary. And if I was a citizen of the United Kingdom, I would be extremely concerned that Hamas was able to retain legal counsel in your country, knowing that they are proscribed and that anyone who has anything to do with them could face criminal charges. And I really hope that this legal firm does face criminal charges. Well, they have filed this lawsuit. It is signed off by Abu Marzouk, one of the leaders of Hamas, and they base their rationale on the fact that they say they are not a threat to Britain, which I beg to differ, and that they are a legitimate resistance organization. So let's take a look at some of the clauses in their suit. So they claim that they've never carried out an operation outside of Palestine. This means that they recognize that this entire land space is Palestine, and that the fact that Israel exists is illegal. They claim that they have no presence in Britain and targets only occupiers. They describe their actions as resistant to Zionist genocide. They accuse Britain of aiding a genocidal war machine by maintaining the ban on them. They argue that proscription violates international law and suppresses free speech. You cannot hide behind free speech. There is a line where free speech becomes hate speech, and we've certainly seen where free speech has most certainly crossed the line. They say that they deny targeting civilians and calls such deaths accidental, a claim disproven by evidence. And the evidence that we're talking about is the evidence that they filmed on the 7th of October, the numerous terrorist attacks that they have carried out for the last several decades. And of course, there's that parliamentary report, which I advise everybody to read. It is excruciating and very painful to read, but very necessary in light of this ludicrous case. They say that they are a liberation movement comparing themselves to the ANC and IRA, And they say that they reject anti-Semitism allegations, saying their fight is against Zionists, not Jews. The fact that well over 95% of Jews are considered Zionists seems to have missed them and their lawyers. And they say that the UK ban criminalizes speech and intimidates pro-Palestinian voices. It's actually beyond the pale, and judging by the reaction of many in Britain who are just as dumbstruck as we are. And my hope is that this case, this lawsuit, is laughed and thrown out of court immediately. It also negates the fact that Palestinians are also protesting against Hamas, calling them a terrorist organization. So let's watch this one very, very closely. Another story we are watching closely is the fact that hundreds of IDF reservists could be expelled from the army. Now, why is this? Because over 1,000, both past reservists and current reservists have signed a letter urging for the immediate return of the hostages, even if it means a halt to the war. Now, this letter was something that the head of the IAF, the Israeli Air Force, Tomer Bar, tried to stop from going public, tried to stop from happening. Prior to the attacks of the 7th of October, we had seen Israeli society extremely divided over the issue of proposed judicial overhauls. That we could understand where these reservists were coming from, because some of these overhauls would remove the layers of legal protection that is needed in times of war, and make sure that Israel is compliant with the laws of armed conflict. But the head of the IDF have said that reservists are completely entitled to protest as civilians, but not using their military roles as they have in this letter. The Defense Minister Israel Katz has also slammed it, and Prime Minister Netanyahu has called them a fringe group of extremists, and says that these divides, it takes us back to our times before the 7th of October, when these divides in Israeli society perhaps created the climate where Hamas saw it was ripe to launch their attacks. So we are going to be watching this one closely as well to see how this progresses. But I think that many across the country as well share the urgency to bring those hostages home no matter the cost. Last night, the US House of the Senate, they had confirmed Mike Huckabee as the next US ambassador to Israel. Huckabee, who is a longtime friend, he is an evangelical Christian, is a longtime supporter of Israel, and we look forward to welcoming him to our beautiful country for his term as ambassador. And finally, tomorrow night we begin the festival of Pesach, Passover, and it's the festival where we not only eat matzah, as I know many of you out there enjoy matzah, but we also commemorate the movement from our freedom from slavery in Egypt all those millennia ago. And it's very hard to approach this coming Pesach, knowing that while we are celebrating freedom and commemorating the ending of our bondage in Egypt, and our freedom in Israel and all that it took, we remember that there are still 59 that are held hostage. They do not have their freedom. I think when we talk about the bitter tears and we eat the bitter herbs at our Seder tables, it will resonate even more for us this year, as we know the conditions that our hostages are being held in. We also know what has happened since the last Pesach, where we really hoped that we would see all of them come home, all of them be free. We also, as part of our Pesach Seder, Sefer Hisha Amda, where we are reminded that in every generation there are those that rise up to kill us, and in every generation the Holy One, blessed be He, delivers us from that and vanquishes them. And I think at this time in our history, this is our generation's time to face off against those that want our destruction. And we know that they don't want just our destruction as Jews. They are coming for our Christian brothers and sisters and others as well. And we are reminded to have faith in Hashem, in the Almighty, that He will vanquish them. So I want to take this opportunity to wish all who are, I'm not going to say celebrating Passover, because we are still not in that place of celebration. But I want to wish all those who are marking Pesach a very, very meaningful Pesach. Please, 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 may we have miracles this Pesach that will see our remaining hostages brought out of bondage in Gaza and into freedom back home in Israel. So with that said, it is now time for the audience question, and it comes from Austin Gibbs in Johannesburg, who asks, what are the feelings about the Prime Minister's leadership? I'm seeing a mixed bag in the mainstream media, and it's pretty much a mixed bag here as well. I will say that the Prime Minister's approval ratings are essentially quite low. There are a lot of contributing factors to that, including the Qatargate scandal. But, you still have your supporters here in this country who are diehard supporters. And you have many who feel that perhaps it is time for new leadership, that the time of this current Prime Minister has run its course. And there is a lot of concern that the Prime Minister still has not been down to places like Neil Oz and still has not accepted responsibility for the failures that led to the 7th of October. So those are the feelings here in Israel. Guys, I know that many of you have your opinions, but this is the Israel Brief. We're not going to whitewash any news here. We're going to bring it to you factual. We're going to bring it to you, fresh from the ground here in Israel. We're not going to sugarcoat it, and we're certainly not going to patronize people by telling you what we think you need to hear. We're going to give it to you straight, which is why you come here for your factual, verified news. And finally, the moment of the week that you guys all love, I love it too. Why? Because it means I get to interact with you a little bit more. And that is our menschers and our morons, plural, of the week. So let's get to the morons. And this one seems to be a recurring moron, and a few of you nominated him, and that is David Lammy, the Foreign Secretary of the United Kingdom, for his absolute pearl-clutching over the fact that Israel barred entry of two Labour Party MPs. The Foreign Secretary has forgotten that he served in a government that also barred the entry of an Israeli MP, and has also threatened to arrest a democratically elected Prime Minister, that being Prime Minister Netanyahu of Israel. He has really made a mountain out of a molehill this week. And the other moron, and this is my choice, is this law firm that is filing a suit on behalf of Hamas. If this is what you support, you have no souls. And now for our mentions of the week. Our first mensch has been nominated, and that is Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban, for not only inviting Israel's Prime Minister to Hungary, but also withdrawing from the ICC, the International Criminal Court, calling it a politicized organization. And the other is the former, I think he was the lead singer of the Sex Pistols, John Lydon, for his firm support of Israel and calling Hamas nothing more than Jew exterminators. So take that to the court, Mr. Lydon, because we think that we will call you as our first witness should this ludicrous case that Hamas have filed in the UK come to light. So guys, I just want to remind you to visit our website at www.layoftheland.online, our Facebook page at Lottle's site. Our YouTube channel is right here. If you like this content, please hit that red subscribe button. We're on X at Lay of the Land 5, on Instagram at Rolene_Marks, on LinkedIn at Rolene Marks. And guys, God bless you all. Chag Pesach Sameach, Shabbat Shalom. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you again on Monday. Why on Monday? Because in Israel we only observe one day of Pesach. I know in the diaspora you observe 2, but there will be an Israel brief on Monday. So guys, take care. Bye for now.